Carpatho-Ukraine is a wild country, was a wild country. You see, Carpatho-Ukraine is one of those areas in Europe that doesn't get a whole lot of attention, but has changed hands quite a few times throughout history. It was controlled throughout the 20th century alone by Austria, the Russian Empire, a German-backed government of Ukraine after World War I, which collapsed 6 months into its existence. Then the Soviet Union took it. Then after the Soviet Union lost the Polish-Soviet War of 1918, then the Czechs took it back. Then the Germans took it briefly. Then it was controlled by Carpatho-Ukraine, which was an independent country, which we'll talk about later. Then it was controlled by Hungary again, then the Soviet Union, Czechoslovakia, and then today, modern Ukraine. Yeah, it's pretty complicated. Carpatho-Ukraine is a very interesting time during World War II because it was invaded by a lot of different countries. It's declared independence at one point and fought for by a bunch of different armies that didn't really care about it, namely the Czechs. So in 1938, Germany was gearing up for its eventual war with the Allies, Poland, France, the United Kingdom, Russia, America, and eventually the entire rest of the planet. But by 1938, Germany wasn't actually in a terrible position. They'd just annexed Austria, and they'd just taken a part of Czechia or Czechoslovakia called the Sudetenland. The Sudetenland was majority German, so the Germans technically had some legitimate claims on it. But the Allies, aka Britain and France, also Mexico for some reason, weren't so sure about it. So Germany now knows this opportunity where, yay, the Allies are totally fine with them taking whatever they want, because they just signed a pact with Czechoslovakia. But unfortunately for Germany, the pact also included a clause that basically said that Germany wasn't allowed to invade Czechoslovakia anymore. Germany was like, yeah, sure, and we promise not to invade you. Surprise, surprise, Germany invaded them. Just a few months after the Munich conference for Germany took the Sudetenland from Czechia, who wasn't even invited to the conference, by the way, Germany proceeded to split up between 4 countries. Zaolzie was a little city taken by Poland, which didn't really matter much because Germany would then proceed to take Poland within the following year. The southern part of Slovakia, aptly named Southern Slovakia, was taken by Hungary, which also didn't matter because it would then be taken away from Hungary by the end of World War II. But again, this is temporary, nothing matters, World War II is weird. So Poland takes a little bit, Hungary takes a little bit, Germany takes a little bit, and now Slovakia is technically its own country that gets independence, but in practice, it's a German protectorate. This little area here, Carpatho-Ukraine, gains independence. Temporarily. Hungary wasn't satisfied with just Southern Slovakia, as they wanted to get Carpatho-Ukraine, which has been controlled by all sorts of people and has had all sorts of ethnic groups living in it, including Russians, Belarusians, Ukrainians, Polish, Hungarians, a few Bulgarians, Czechs, Romanians, Slovakians, and unsurprisingly, more Ukrainians. So Carpatho-Ukraine, since they didn't have their own country, they declared independence. The remnants of the Czech army showed up and briefly fought for Carpatho-Ukraine, but the problem is Carpatho-Ukraine was ridiculously small, had no industry, and by the time the Carpatho-Ukraine announced independence, they were already eaten up by the Hungarian army anyway. Okay, so now Hungary controls southern Slovakia, Carpatho-Ukraine, Slovakia has quote-unquote independence, Germany controls Bohemia, and by the time 1939 was around, Germany decides to invade people who are weaker than them. Yes, I'm pointing fingers at everyone here. Germany invades Poland, then they go to Belgium, then Luxembourg, then France, then Norway, then Denmark, then the Netherlands, and by the time they turn their eyes eastward, Yugoslavia has already vanished, Italy has failed to conquer Greece, and Carpatho-Ukraine is now part of Hungary, which is right on the front line against the big, scary Soviet Union. But it's not really big and scary at first because Germany steamrolls the Soviet Union, and the Soviet Union looks like it's going to collapse in a matter of weeks. But then winter rolls around, German soldiers freeze, German tanks run out of gas, and now the Soviet Union is winning again. Till the Battle of Stalingrad, where German army seems like they're about to collapse the Soviet Union. Till the Battle of Stalingrad actually finishes with a Soviet victory, which the Soviets look like they're now going to win. By 1943, everybody knows the writing on the wall. The Allies have landed in Italy, the Soviets are marching west through Poland, and eventually they retake Carpatho-Ukraine and decide to hold on to it for now. But by the time the Yalta Conference happens, the Soviet Union promises to give Carpatho-Ukraine back to the Czechs again. After the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and the Cold War, Carpatho-Ukraine remains part of Czechoslovakia until Slovakia gains independence, and very briefly holds on to it until Ukraine gains independence and takes Carpatho-Ukraine again. So yeah, that's the story of a tiny little chunk of land that you've probably never heard of that actually had an interesting story. Thanks for watching.